get a dog. Like, don't get another girlfriend.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's episode of Yip to My App. I'm still Erica Starr, and today I'm here with
Ashley Wong.
And today we're talking polyamory, and we're covering a lot today. So let's just get into it. How would you define polyamory in your own words?
I think polyamory to me is loving as expansively as possible. So by definition, it's the ability for someone to have the capacity to love more than one person at once. Mm-hmm. We, as a society, we are raised in a monogamous society. So everyone's like kind of told growing up, you know, you find the person, it's usually someone of the opposite gender, you like date for a little bit, you end up getting married, you move in together, have kids, blah, blah, right? That's something we call the relationship escalator. So for me at least, or how I embody polyamory into my lifestyle, I see it as like kind of taking the escalator and throwing it away and writing my own narrative when it comes to love and relationships and how I love, you know? And I find that so much more liberating and freeing than having to follow a certain script that society has written for us.
So does polyamory look different for everyone who is polyamorous?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So there's different kinds of polyamory. I remember when I first started, I've been polyamorous for, I want to say almost like 2 years now, but I've always been like interested in it. Mm-hmm. Even when I was in monogamous relationships, I always wanted to be like open or like involve other people in some way. I was also a serial dater. So I was in like a bunch of monogamous relationships back to back that I found out now is a sign. It could be a sign that someone's poly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's different ways. There's like a whole language around it. Like I remember I bought a workbook to try to figure out what's going on about polyamory. But basically, I identify as a relationship anarchist. So I kind of see it as like, and this isn't only limited to my romantic relationships, but also friendships, family, all sorts of connections. But I see it as like I am very much single and enjoy being solo poly or single. But I still hold all of my connections and relationships to like the same level of care and respect, whether we've known each other for like 6 months or like a year or whatever, right? Like all of my connections are important to me in their own way. And an analogy or metaphor we kind of use is like the universe, like thinking about like constellations, mm-hmm. right? Like in the planets and stuff or a solar system. If I'm like one planet, not me not knowing the solar system, I'm like, if I'm like the sun, right? That's in the middle. Mm-hmm. If I'm the sun, then I got like all of my partners or friends or connections. There are different planets and stars in my solar system, right? So some of them might be further away. Maybe they live long distance or are, maybe they're like not in New York or they're in a long distance thing. Some of them are closer to home. Some people I see more frequently. Some people I only talk to like every couple months or so. So it's kind of just honoring like where everyone's at. There's also some people who are poly and practice like more hierarchical systems, right? So like maybe they're married or they have a primary partner and then they have like a secondary partner, tertiary, whatever. My only thing with that is like, again, not here to yuck anyone's yum. Yeah. If you like it, I love it. But it kind of there is something called like couples privilege, right? Or relationships privilege, where it's like, if you're setting someone up to be like, this is my primary, then everyone else is inherently seen as like less important or like kind of disposable, you know? Which feels icky because people are people. That being said, I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So I was going to say like, as you started saying that, but I think I know where you're going. Like, you wouldn't be okay being anyone's like secondary or tertiary partner if they have like, you know, the main relationship?
I would be okay with it, but I think so one of the biggest things about being poly is like everyone automatically assumes we're just can I like curse on this? Everyone just assumes we're fucking and doing like having crazy sex all the time. Well, yes, but but that's like maybe 10% of it. Like the rest of the 90 is just check-ins and communication and scheduling. Because as you can assume, bitches are busy. Mm-hmm. Like in their own lives, but also like having to manage like so many partners at once. Yeah. So I have dated people and am currently seeing people who do have like primary partners, but it's always like we talk about it where I'm like, I'm not going to be like if we had to put this in like monogamous terms, right? Like someone's like side hoe or like second choice or whatever, like our time together is special. I honor like whatever relationship you have with that other person. Cause sometimes it's like also, I'm not gonna pretend and be like, me knowing someone, you knowing someone for like 10 plus years and knowing me for like a couple months, like that can't be the same exact type of relationship. But again, like as long as the foundation is built on like friendship, care, respect, and like communication with each other, like I'm here for it. But it gets like weird when it does have to be, I think in my experience, like learning how to be poly or how it like fits into like my lifestyle and what my style is. It took a lot of like experimentation and like time to figure out with like different kinds of people, what I like and what I don't like, just like any kind of dating, monogamous wise or not. And so I think practicing a lot of discernment with like the people I choose to allow into my life and into like, you know, to invest time and energy into has been a big part. So if someone has a primary partner, I do think like it does raise like a flag for me, but then it's also like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, what does that dynamic look like for you? What does my role play? Like, how do we want our connection to like build over time? Yeah.
And when you're in that situation, do you feel the need to communicate with their primary partner? Like, do you feel the need to like have at least a conversation to let them know like, hey, I'm here? Because for all you know, it could be someone who's like acting as if they're monogamous with someone. They're like, oh yeah, but I'm poly, but you don't have to talk to her, you know?
I'm gonna also say this, and like, I think a lot of people, when I love when people are curious about being poly versus like making assumptions, right? Which is why I'm so happy to be on this with you. People can still cheat when they're poly. Like I've been cheated on as a poly person, and it almost like makes it like worse, right? Because here we are in a system set up where you can literally do whatever you want as long as you talk to me about it and we like respect each other's boundaries, you know? So it's still possible. What you were talking about before with like meeting other people's partners, that's something called like kitchen table polyamory. So essentially like envision like you're at a kitchen table, right? And then all your partners are having dinner around it. So the vision is like everyone gets along, everyone's able to talk to each other and hang out. Obviously, people have feelings.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with like being poly, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this later. Like people automatically assume we don't get jealous. Jealousy is a normal human feeling. Like it's a natural feeling that comes up for everybody. The thing with being poly is that, again, there's this premise of we'll talk about it and we have to, like, it's almost like we have to communicate about it, right?
Yeah.
Or else it's just gonna build up over time. And it's gonna be messy because it's never something that a lot of people do, or something I've noticed in my experience being poly is like, a lot of monogamous couples will like start out and they're like, oh, we're curious about like exploring or experiencing other people. Again, nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. But if you treat other people as like a Band-Aid for the problems already existing in your relationship, it's gonna crumble down faster.
Yeah.
You know, like get a dog. Like don't get another girlfriend or get like a third, you know what I mean? Like get a dog, get a plant, go to couples therapy.
Yeah.
Like you opening up your relationship and involving other people is always gonna get messier. And that's the thing, like all my close friends know when I tell them my poly stories, they're like, holy shit, this is messy as fuck. And I'm like, absolutely. It's so messy. But it affirms me and makes me feel so free and validated, where I can never go back to monogamy, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, you know, you say like it's messy and like, you know, jealousy is inevitable. Was there ever a point where, you know, like the jealousy was just like too much to bear or something, and you're just kind of like, I put myself in the situation. I decided I wanted to be poly. Like maybe I should just go back to being monogamous. Like, was there ever a point where you were like, this is a bit much, or like what's kept you in a polyamorous lifestyle?
Yeah. Also, I don't even know if I answered your last question.
Oh no, you're good. This is a free flowing conversation.
I was like, let's keep yapping.
Yeah.
No, so valid. I think I told you this. I went through 3 breakups in the spring, literally within the same week.
Yeah.
It was exhausting. Like imagine like one regular breakup. It's a lot. It's devastating. Like 3 at once. It was a lot. And so that from there on, I have very much since then been intentional about being alone and I've been very intentional about being single and like having alone time, or being like actively practicing being a solo poly person. That being said, like am I still seeing people? Do I still have lovers? Yes. But I think for me, the big differentiation is I know how I am when I like commit to being in a committed like long-term relationship with someone or more serious like relationship with someone. And again, this isn't like, I'm not playing with people's feelings. I'm not like leading anyone on. Like this is like I have regular ongoing check-ins and like communicate with like my partners about expectations. But I think for me, it was just adjusting where it's like not necessarily going back to monogamy, but more so like going back to myself and pouring that energy and time into myself, which again, monogamous people do in between relationships when they're single, you know? Yeah. So yeah, it's more so for me, like ever since those breakups when I was just so depleted and exhausted, it wasn't about going back to monogamy because again, like when I was monogamous, I was not happy in my relationships and I never want to erase it and be like with my exes that I didn't love them because I did and there was love and we had like my longest relationship when I was monogamous was like I think 5-6 years. So I was in it for a while. It just always felt like there was something missing. So I always compare it to like when I came out as like queer, right? In terms of my sexuality, like people always talk about when, you know, they're in the closet or they're younger and they don't fully understand what's going on with their sexuality. And they're like, why do I feel this way? Like something feels off or like I feel different from other people, you know, like society and other people are telling me to be a certain way, but I'm not fitting in that. I compare the same thing to like being poly, right? Like when I was in the relationships, sure, I was happy. Yes, I had good memories. Yes, I was in love, but something always felt like missing. And now, yeah, like being poly, I think is one of the most like affirming and liberating decisions I've ever made. Or one of the most like affirming or liberating realizations I had about myself.
Okay. Something you mentioned too is about like having like being single and still having like multiple lovers. So what's the difference between being in multiple relationships and being single while still having these, I don't want to say relationships for the sake of the question, but you know what I mean? By having these connections with other people, what's the difference between that and then having several legit relationships?
No, that's such a good question. I think it's really, and I think like the core of why I love being poly is like it depends on the person and depends on the situation. You know, like instead of there being this like script of like, okay, we've been going on dates for like 6 months, right? And then now it's like, okay, now it's time to what's that word that people use? Like to DTR, right? Like define the relationship.
Oh, okay.
Or put a label onto it. Mm-hmm. And then again, like if it's monogamy, like people typically follow a script. Like now we've been dating this long, we have a label, and now we're like dating, we're planning longer term things, etc. I think with being poly, again, like I love that there is no script to follow. So with every person that I'm seeing, I like check in and I'm very open. When I first started seeing like the people I'm seeing right now, I'm like, I was exhausted in the spring. I just got out of 3 serious relationships. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship right now. And for me, it's really just the difference of like labels and expectations, right? So I don't want the label of like a committed serious relationship right now. And with that, the expectations, it's almost like, it's both setting boundaries with the other person, but also it's setting boundaries within myself just because I know how I am, like how much I invest and pour into someone, especially when I'm dating them or just in general, I pour a lot into my relationships with the people I love and care about. Yeah. So knowing like my capacity is currently like limited to, and then I feel like people are going to be like, oh, she's just like in a bunch of situationships then, or just admit they're in a situationship. Yeah. Like, yes, but like, I see situationships as like someone who's afraid of commitment. And it's not necessarily that I'm afraid of commitment. I'm just aware that like I don't have the capacity right now. And I'm again, like with a situationship, there's always like someone's breadcrumbing or leading someone on or like it's unequal, right? Or not reciprocated. Like one person wants a relationship, the other doesn't. With everyone I'm seeing right now, I say in the very beginning, like I don't have the capacity for a relationship right now. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna like care or connect with you or respect you or whatever any less. It's really just like, I probably can't see you every day. You know what I mean? Like some partners I see every week. Sometimes we go like a couple weeks without seeing each other. Most of the time we usually text every day, but we're not texting like all the time. And it's just like, no, putting less pressure like on myself and also the other person where it's like, if I'm super busy, like I have been these past couple of weeks, and I don't talk to you, it doesn't mean I don't like care for you or am not thinking of you any less. It's just, life be lifing.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference, because like you said, like you mentioned something, you were like, oh, it's like something that a monogamous person might compare it to like a side piece or whatever when it comes to like, the primary relationship and having other people that you're in relationships with. And it's like the whole time that you're speaking, like it's been hard for me to make that distinction too, like as you're talking, because I'm like, well, I have a few friends who are monogamous who sound like they're in similar situations, that they're talking to several people and they're, and they say themselves, they have several lovers. And I'm just like, what's the difference? And I think a lot of it has to do with just lifestyle and framing of how you talk about it. Because for someone who's monogamous, like they can go through the same situation that you could be in and they'll be like, well, I guess that one dropped off the map. Not going to talk to that guy ever again, and then that's it because we haven't spoken in a few weeks. For someone else, they're like, oh, this one's like falling off, or oh, this one, me and him are progressing. Meanwhile, like, on a polyamorous side, it's more of like, no, these are my relationships with these different people. And it's okay if things, what's the word?
Shift.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And that's more normal. Like change is more normal than consistency. At least from what I'm understanding.
Yes, and so improv. But like yes, and exactly. Like it's kind of like I see it as monogamous. Like everyone, when you're monogamous, you're dating around, right? You're going through talking stages. You go on a bunch of dates with different people, and then you're like, okay, I really like this person. I'm gonna invest much more time and energy into them with the end goal of we're going to get into a long-term committed relationship, right? And then when that happens and it's like, okay, I have this end goal. If that person wants to get married, we're going to move in like XYZ number of years. We're going to get married in XYZ number of years. We're going to have kids, whatever, right? And then you start enmeshing your lifestyles with one person versus like with being poly. And then another thing is like, I feel like with talking stages or situationships or stuff like that, it's less romantic and intimate and more like sexual, right? I think for me, the big thing is like, I don't do anything transactional. And that's, I think, the biggest part in like hookup culture, situationships, where it's like, we're just here to fuck, we're done, right? Like do what we got to do, move on with our lives, right? With how polyamory, or how at least I practice being poly, it's like, I'm talking to all these different people. I'm going on different dates. I like maybe 2 or 3. So another thing is like everyone who's poly has different capacities. And I've learned through trial and error, mine is like 2 to 3. I've known some people with like 6 to 8 partners. And I'm just like,
how?
Who has the time, right? Like I do not have the time. I do not have the energy. I realized that person was mostly just fucking, those people, which is like, and again, it's so dependent on the person, right? Like he called them partners. I just would consider them fuck buddies. And that's fine. So with my capacity, I'm like, okay, like I'm going on all these dates, these 2 to 3 people, we have like a good connection. I want to see where it goes like organically. I express like, hey, I'm not in the mindset right now to be in a serious committed relationship, but that just means labels and expectations. That doesn't mean like, I still don't want to hang out with you regularly or consistently. It doesn't mean I don't want to text you consistently because I will put in that time and effort.
Yeah.
And like want it to be reciprocated, right? And then there's no like, again, like that escalator metaphor, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not necessarily planning on moving in like 3-4 years or months or whatever. We're not planning on getting married anytime soon, like whatever. Because like, to be quite frank, my marriage, like the only person I want to think I'm genuinely considering getting married to is my best friend, which a lot of people are doing. So that's another thing. I feel like there's just so much stigma about being poly, and it's like these like freaks and weirdos who play Dungeons and Dragons and like,
oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like I've seen the TikToks, I've seen the memes, and like, I'm not going to say some of them aren't true, like, but there's also baddies who are poly, and there's people who are committed to each other and want consistency and want all of these like, I think people who are poly just at their core have a large capacity to love. Most of the time, it's really not just about sex. The sex is great. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's great. And like, I just want my capacity of love to be spread and like shared with different people, Yeah. And that could be romantic. It could be friendship. I think friendship is one of the most sacred relationships a person could have. It could be through family. It could be through anything.
I wanted to ask, do you feel like, because as you're speaking, like, it sounds like you're focused on like your own life, your own career, all that good stuff. And it's like, yes, you want to spread all the love that you can, but not when your cup is full. So like, would you say that like polyamory helps you when it comes to just like in a monogamous relationship, they always say like, sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's 50-50.
Yes.
And I feel like the way that you're explaining polyamory, it's like, listen, when I don't have anything, I don't owe you anything. Like when I'm down, I don't owe you like this, bucket of love. Like I just can't do that. So like if I not disappear, but if I like distance myself for like a week, it's less pressure on you. Like you don't feel this like, okay, I got all this going on and I have to care for this person. It's more of like, I'll get to you when I get to you. Like just give me a minute.
Exactly. And I think, again, like, and we'll probably talk about this later, like, there's so many things from polyamory that could be applied to monogamous people. And I think regardless, a lot of people have like poly traits and values and tendencies, but they just don't want to be associated with it.
They just don't put the word on it.
They don't want to put the word on it because they're like, I'm not those freaks who play Dungeons and Dragons and are fucking and being weird or whatever. Like, you don't have to have like be dating 3 to 4 partners, but if you're tired, you're in a relationship, right? And we don't have to talk about that.
You're good.
Yeah. Like you're in a monogamous relationship, which I love for you. And like if you're ever like exhausted and you're drained and coming back home at a 0, you could express to your partner that and be like, hey, I'm not feeling it right now. Can we like take some solo time, right? Or I need to go hang out with some friends or like whatever, right?
Yeah.
I would consider those like poly values because you're not monogamous culture, especially like I would argue like toxic monogamous culture teaches us like you have to sacrifice and like give your everything to this one person.
Yeah.
Versus like, I think there's a difference between sacrifice and I'm trying to find the word and then I'll re-say it. Finding, what's the word for like, it starts with a C, finding middle ground.
Oh.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
What's
compromise?
Compromise.
Yes.
Okay, I'll start over. I think there's a difference between sacrifice and compromise. And I think the beauty of being poly is like we will try our best to find a compromise. If there's no compromise, there's no need to sacrifice. Because at the end of the day, I come first, and I also want my partners to know that they come first too in their own lives. And there shouldn't be this like I'm an R&B girly. I do. And I love like 2000s R&B and like that kind of like love, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful at its core, but also it's hella toxic.
Yeah.
And I don't expect you to give up your whole life for me. I don't want to give up my whole life for you. But we can still choose to honor this connection or feelings or whatever that we have for each other and see what happens.
Yeah. And even like what you mentioned about like having poly values in a monogamous relationship, like to me, like the way that it just sounds like if you just sprinkle some poly values in a monogamous relationship, it's just a healthy monogamous relationship. Because I feel like a toxic monogamous relationship is very, the stereotypical, like it's just us and we don't care about anyone else and
me and you against the world. Yeah.
And it's like for me with being my boyfriend, I feel like we've had a lot of conversations that a lot of other people would consider tough, but I feel like we're both open to just like letting us be our own people at all times.
Yes.
And like we've talked about like sometimes like when I'm really stressed, like I just want to be around my friends. And he knows that it's nothing against him. And it's not even that I don't want to be around him. Like I don't care if he's also there and I'm with my friends. I just want my friends around. I just need to be around different people, just a group of people even who I just like, who care about me and who I care about. Like it's just very different. And I feel like in toxic relationships I've had in the past, there's a jealousy of like, well, why do you need to be around? What's wrong with me? What can't I give you? And it's like, whoa. Like, not everyone can do everything, and that's fine. You can't give me what the girls can. Like, when me and the girls talk, it's just a nice time.
Exactly.
It's a different feeling. And it's like, it sucks that it comes to a point, like, I feel like, as more and more people get into more serious relationships, and sometimes, like, the toxicity of their relationship just becomes the norm, that it's okay to forget who your friends are, and it's okay to start like leaving all these relationships that were very important to you just because like, friendship is something that's mainly talked about when you're in kindergarten and when you're in middle school and sometimes high school, that it doesn't mean that when you're an adult, like you just abandon them entirely. So like, I completely understand the whole thing of like, and if anything, I encourage, my boyfriend to have his friends. It's like, I want us to have lives outside of one another because if it's just us, that gets really boring really fast. Like, I want to be able to debrief with you about your friends and you debrief with me about mine and we chit chat and then we have our own life. And, it's just, there's so much variety. And it's like, for anybody listening, it's like, I'm literally talking about me, my boyfriend, his friends, and my friends. And as soon as, you know, like, obviously, these aren't a ton of different like romantic relationships, but it's like, if you just tweak that a little bit and you add romantic relationships in there, that's what polyamory is. And it's not as scary, you know, it's not for everyone, sure, and that's completely fine. But it's just, from my understanding, like polyamory, it's just how much you're willing to express your emotions, how vulnerable you're willing to be. Because I feel like in polyamory, you also have to be very open with what you don't like and what you do like, and being able to tell that to someone and explain why, just so that there's as much of an understanding as possible for the other person to not want to disrespect you or just like, you know, yeah, disrespect you and just like ignore any of your boundaries and stuff. That's what I'm getting.
Girl, you might as well take over the rest of this podcast. Because literally, no, like dead ass. That is what being poly is to me. And it's like, people are not possessions. You know, I don't own you. You don't own me. We know that girly, or okay, let's not say that girly, that person, right? Or maybe a pick-me type of person. Once they get into a relationship, disappear off the face of the earth. All friendships cut off. Their hobbies, interests, cut. Like, all of their attention goes onto this one person. And it's like,
who are you?
Exactly. Like, why would you ever want to lose your sense of self in another person? You know? But that's another thing. Like, who can we blame that person? Because that's what we were taught growing up. That's what we see in media. That's what we see in movies. That's what, like I said, R&B girly, the whole 2000s. Like, we have genres like dedicated to it. So it makes sense. And I'm not blaming anyone, or I never want to like tell anyone or indoctrinate anyone and be like, you have to be poly. It's the same thing like when queer people, right? Or like the LGBTQIA community, like, we're not telling you to be gay.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not gay, you're not gay. You're not poly. I tell my sister all the time, and this is just so funny. I'm like super queer, poly, tatted, whatever, right? My little sister is one of the straightest people I know. One of the most monogamous people I know. We came from the same womb. Like, you can't say that's not a little bit of genetics. Like, and we've talked about it, where she's also curious, and it doesn't come naturally to her, right? She doesn't understand it, but I always welcome curiosity. You don't need to be an expert, which is why I love like being here and getting to talk to you, because you're curious. And she's just like, okay, like, if you ever meet the one though, like, what are you going to settle down with them? And that might be one of the questions later. And I'm like, maybe, but I think at the end of the day, I will always be poly, and I will always want to have rich networks of connections with different people, whether it's friendship or family or chosen family or lovers, partners, whatever that looks like. Like, I want community is one of the most important things, especially, not to get super political right now, but especially in such troubling times. Like, we have to be able to have these vast networks of community to depend on, because the government isn't looking out for us. You know, these systems aren't looking out for us. Like, even not just lovers, knowing your neighbors, knowing, like, hanging out with like friends, or being able to tap into different people. Because once you lose your sense of self, once you give everything and pour everything into, again, one person, like, who are you? What do you have left? You know? Yeah. And like, that person isn't, like, with monogamy, nothing's guaranteed. Once, God forbid, something happens, and then now you just have like nothing left. It like always breaks my heart to see people go through that after a breakup.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, it's just healthier to be able to have those conversations. And again, like, I think that's one of the biggest gifts that being poly has given me, is like, it's forced me to really sit down with myself and be like, what do I want? Right? What do I want in a relationship? What do I like in another person? What do I not want? What do I not like? What are my boundaries? What am I willing to tolerate, or whatever? And then to practice having these like really tough conversations with not just one person, but multiple people.
I think that's what makes it difficult, because there's no rules, and everyone pretty much is making up their own rules. And it's like, that's where like the respect comes into play, where it's like, you have to trust that this person is going to take everything that you're saying, and you got to take their word for it when, you know, they say that they're following whatever guidelines and stuff you have for you guys' relationship. And it's also like, from what I'm hearing, it feels like a lot to maintain, because like I said, if everyone has their own rules, you have your own. And then, I mean, listen, if I was in a polyamorous, I know myself in a monogamous one, I know I'm difficult. I can only imagine, like, yeah, I have my own rules, but I'm gonna have my rules for you and my other rules for you. Like, my rules are gonna be different depending on the person. And I feel like even that alone shows like, that's not for me. That's too messy, too much for my brain to take. It's just a lot.
It's girl, I'm tired. I'm tired all the time. What I was saying with my sister before, my brain, we love a tangent.
Yeah.
My little sister was like, you don't want to see me poly. You know what I mean? She's like, I would be miserable. And I was like, I know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
And I was saying for me, I was like, you don't want to see me back in monogamy. And I'll come on camera, I'll come clean. I've cheated before in like a monogamous relationship. And it's, not to get any excuses. I've been cheated on, I've cheated. And it's like the core of cheating is you're unhappy, right? And it becomes a problem when one becomes a pattern.
Yeah.
And also like you don't own up to it, you don't talk about it, and you don't look within and reflect like, you know, what am I missing? Like what is like missing or what feels unfulfilled in this connection or relationship for me that I need to seek it elsewhere. Yeah. Because that's the whole point of polyamory, where it's like, the core belief is one person cannot fulfill all of my needs. And that is where it could be applied to monogamous relationships, anything, where it's like once you like depend on one person to fulfill everything, you are going to end up disappointed. Because like you said, the girls get it. Yeah. There are things the girls get a man will never get. Yeah. I date men too. Queer poly men still have issues and they still don't get it. And so there's only things that like girlies or femmes or non-binary people can get. And that doesn't mean like, oh, okay, I'm never gonna like, you know, we have these feelings, but like, I'm like, because the thing with monogamy is like, you know, once you're committed to someone, right, you have to like show that you're committed, being like, okay, I'm not gonna talk to anybody else. Like that's respect, that's my loyalty, blah, 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 right? Which again, I respect and I'm here for. And also, again, like you were saying, just even thinking about it stresses you out, right? That shows it's not for you. And that's okay. Like I'm here for it. As long as your relationship is healthy and fulfilling for you, I love it. But for me, it's like, if I'm seeing someone and like they meet someone else and they have a beautiful connection and it's healthy and it fulfills them and it fulfills needs that I maybe can't fulfill for them, I love that. Who am I to stop you? You know, as long as it's healthy and as long as we talk about it. And again, it's just a lot of work. It's just mad work and a lot of conversations.
So what if they find someone that fulfills needs that you're already fulfilling? That there's nothing new that if anything, they're just, I don't want to say using you guys for the same thing, but both of your relationships fill the same void for them. Like at any point are you like, that's greedy, I don't like that? Or are you just okay with it?
I mean, I'm also low-key a hedonist, so I'm just like...
What does that mean?
Hedonism? So I got you, girl. Hedonism is just someone who just like enjoys pleasure and like gets joy from like feeling good. You know what I mean? Like it could be a lifestyle for some people. It could be like just a mindset. I also like, I'm a sex educator and like pleasure activist. Yeah. So I view the world through the lens of pleasure, right? Like, and it... not just sex. So whenever people talk, like whenever I talk about like pleasure, people automatically assume I'm talking about sexual pleasure.
It's just a sexy word.
It's just like, sexy. And it's okay. Like what's wrong with feeling sexy? You know, like life teaches us. Let me backtrack a little bit. So whenever I talk about pleasure activism, people automatically assume I'm talking about sexual pleasure, which yes, feels good. We love to see it. We love being sexy. And I'm talking about like pleasure as expansively as possible. Like you eating your favorite meal and your eyes roll back to the back of your head, you know? Or listening to your favorite song in the shower or watching the sunset on the beach with your friends. Like that's all pleasure. And once you're able to tap into that feeling and be like, this is what I want to feel for the rest of my life, that's like the most beautiful frame or lens to look at the world, because then you're able to be like, let's just say you're at a job that makes you miserable, right? Yeah. This shit's not giving me pleasure. I need to leave. Yeah. You know, same with friendships or people you're connecting with. This person is sus and giving me weird vibes. We don't need to be friends anymore. Yeah. So it's kind of like that, you know, where it's like if someone else, let's just say I fulfill one of my partners a certain way and someone else also fulfills them the same way. Yeah. I love that. As long as you have the capacity and you're able to handle that, you know what I mean? You're able to still maintain your connections in healthy ways or like communicate about it. Like, why not? What's wrong with feeling good now? Yeah.
See, you know? I think that's the difference between like polyamorous people and monogamous people. Cause for me, like I would not be having that. For me, I'm just like, hold on. And it's kind of like what you said, like it gets like toxic. That's just like the basis of monogamy. I don't mind it. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Listen, like, if you like it, I love it. I'm not here to judge.
Because it's like, because I keep on like trying to like put myself like in polyamorous shoes, and I'm like, it just doesn't work for me every time because I'm thinking, and I'm just like, if I find out that you get another me and you want more time with that me, fuck you. Like that stuff, it just doesn't sit well with me. And, you know, you gotta, I feel like there's so many other traits that you need to have to be polyamorous. Like you gotta like not be prideful as fuck like I am, you know? Like there's a lot of things.
ego. Like you gotta shut that ego down fast.
Yeah.
And another thing is also like, again, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm gonna be like, oh my God, this isn't me. So there's something called compersion in polyamory where it's like, I get happiness from the other person's happiness, right?
Okay.
And I do identify as a compersion queen. Like, and it's, again, relationships, but also friends. If my friend gets their dream job, I'm fucking over the moon for them,
of course,
you know?
yeah.
Like, and it's the same thing. That's what the concept of it, right? But then when it applies to romantic relationships, that's when everyone's like, wait, no, you can't be happy outside of me. I'm supposed to be the person that gives you all the joy, you know? And that's really what it is. It's like, we strive for compersion, but also you're a human. We're human. Of course, when I'm feeling low, I'm going to be jealous. I'm going to be like, oh, I feel insecure. Why is this person spending more time? There's something also called NRE or new relationship energy. So, you know, like the honeymoon phase in the beginning of a relationship. So with poly people, something that happens is like when you're entering, like let's just say I've been seeing someone for 6 months and then they meet someone and they're like, oh my God, we had the most amazing first date. You know what I mean? And then they get this burst of like that honeymoon phase or NRE.
Yeah.
And again, I see it as like, now it's beautiful because you're feeling all these things and then it trickles into your other relationships, right? And you're able to pour more and it's just, when it works, it works. But that being said, there are some poly people who are shitty. Like there are some poly people who say they're poly and they're not.
Yeah.
They just want to use it as an excuse to cheat on people. Because again, like, when I'm feeling jealous or insecure, I will like sit down, reflect. If I got a journal, I will meditate, I will do what I need to do. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to this person about what's coming up, right? So I've had partners, so I'll tell them like something's come up. I'm like, hey, do you have the capacity to talk about this right now? Right? Like some feeling came up for me. I don't want it to take away, if it's about another person, like I don't want it to take away from your connection with this other person. I don't wanna like, you know, affect anything or like, I want to respect your boundaries, but also this is a need that's coming up for me. Like, can you address it or can we talk about it? And sometimes that might mean like, hey, can you spend some more time with me? Can we get like a cute little date night? Sometimes it might mean like meeting the other person. Sometimes it doesn't, you know, it's just, it's all like flexible.
So would you, like in your relationships, would you rather your partners tell you about their experiences with their other partners or do you want that like behind closed doors?
So there's some people, like you were asking before, like people practice poly in different ways, right? There are some people who are very much like Bush-esque, don't ask, don't tell policy, right? Like I don't want to know. I don't want to hear any details. You live your own life. I live my own life. I respect it. I personally like to have a very much like open level of communication with all of my partners.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like, it's just my preferred way of like communicating and being transparent. And it's also just like, again, being poly is already so hard and so tiring. I don't want to like in my head be like, okay, I can't talk to this person about this thing, but I can talk to this person about that thing. And like something really happy happened to me, but then I can't tell this person because they're going to get upset. You know what I mean? Like it's just a lot of like mental work. So I'm rather like, I like hearing about other partners, like when they go on a great date or like if they met someone or they have a crush on someone, whatever. And vice versa, like, and then again, it's something we communicate about and check in about. Like, if someone's like hella depressed or like feeling low about themselves, obviously they're like, okay, I don't want to hear about it right now, but that doesn't mean I'm not happy for you.
Yeah.
And I respect it. Well, it's fine.
And how much of your life has, or your view of life or your actual life has changed since you started living a polyamorous lifestyle? Because like, I'm just thinking about it in the sense of like, I don't know, when I speak to my friends, when I speak to new people, like at some point my boyfriend comes up and I say my boyfriend, you know, and it's just a very casual thing that comes up in conversation. So for you, if ever that comes up and, you know, let's say you say my boyfriend twice, but you're talking about two different people, like when do you feel like, if ever, that you have to disclose that information to someone when they like start getting confused and they're like, wait, but didn't you say his name was this and now his name is that? And then like, you know, like, cause I get it where it's like, it's none of your business who I'm screwing. But at the same time in like everyday conversation and stuff like that, it's like people are bound to ask. So how do you navigate that? And how much of your life has changed in the way that you like even go about expressing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm very open about being poly. Like I make content about it. I get hate about it on the content. So we'll see how this podcast does. Whenever I'm talking about my dating life, like that's the first thing. I'm like, hey, I'm poly. I'm seeing XYZ number of people. When I talk to my bestie, I'm like, oh my God, like this person, that person. I address them by name. You know, sometimes if someone prefers partner, lover, friend, whatever, right? Like for me, the label doesn't really matter. It's just like, this is the person that I'm seeing and I care about. There's definitely like some stigma associated with it. For sure. But I'm very lucky, I think, with like the friends and community that I have in my life that they're curious. They're like, okay, what does this mean for you? What does it look like? Or I think the biggest thing I always get is like, well, I could never, you know?
You got
like,
that from me like 3 times today.
Like I could never. And again, I'm like, you like it, I love it. We listen and we don't judge. Like, I'm here for it. And it's by no means am I being like, you have to be poly, you know? But could you learn a thing or two from poly people? Hell yeah, you know? Like, I just want everyone to be able, like, as a sex educator and as a poly person, as a pleasure activist, as long as you feel good about the relationships and things going on in your life, I love it. If it feels good. I think a lot of the time, and we could talk about, like, intergenerational trauma, our parents, family dynamics, whatever, right? Like, we see so many people who are miserable in these relationships. Oh, my God. Sweet baby. Like, you see people who are like miserable in relationships. Like, you ever seen a couple and you're like, y'all need to get divorced. Like, y'all, but they're together either because like for the kids, because they feel like they have to, because they were like, oh, maybe religion, whatever.
Never gonna find anyone again.
They're never gonna find that, right? Like, this is the love of my life. Like, I have to make this work. Like, if y'all have if you're on again, off again, like for years, like, isn't that exhausting? You know what I mean? Like, I love when people love to talk about, like, isn't it so much work, like being poly and like you have to like communicate and schedule and blah, blah. Like, yes, obviously. But isn't it exhausting, like being in like a toxic monogamous relationship too? You know, like you see those couples fighting in the street.
Because who are you turning to? You don't got another man. It's just you and that person.
It's just literally, and I'm just like, y'all can break, you know, like you can have friends, you can break up, you can see other people, like, it's just, I don't remember what the original question was.
Just going about life, polyamory, but I think you covered as much as worth covering. Yeah. But I also wanted to ask, because you even hinted at it with like the family stuff, like how was it coming out to your family about polyamory?
So I'm actually not out to my family yet in terms of being poly. At least, okay, so
none of them on your Instagram?
The beautiful thing of having an immigrant mother who doesn't understand much English or technology, and I manage all of her passwords.
Got it.
My mom's not on Instagram. My sister knows, but that's really it. Like, I'm not gonna be telling my family in China about my business. If it ever gets to that point where I need to have that conversation, I'm down. And I know some poly people who have come out to their immigrant parents, which I think is so beautiful, but I'm just like, I don't have the capacity for that right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, would it be something that you think like they'd be accepting, or is it more of like they'll accept because they love you, but it would be hard?
I think it'd probably be hard. I think even coming out as queer to my mom, she was very much like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I mean, cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool.
What do you want me to say?
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. Like,
it was better than saying you hate me, so I think we're solid.
Right. Like, I still have a relationship with her. It's still very loving. Like, my sister, again, is one of my biggest supporters. Every Pride, she'll text me something rainbow and be like, happy Pride. I'm like, love my ally. And the same with like being poly, like she understands that, like, oh, how are your different partners? Or like, oh, like don't let, you know, it's more so like going back to me, like, remember, don't like stretch yourself too thin, like take care of yourself, like blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I've also, with the other question I was going to say, I've had friends also who were considering that what they were poly or are poly, and then when I came out as poly to them, or because me being so open about it, they now feel comfortable coming out as poly to other people. Aww. And it's so cute. Like, literally, I had a friend recently who was saying she had like went out with another partner or they had went out with another partner and then they saw a mutual friend and the mutual friend was like, oh wait, what happened to your other partner? And my friend was like, oh no, I'm like Ashley, like I'm like Polly. And immediately she was like, oh yeah, I get it, like totally understand, you know?
Aww,
and I was just like, exactly, like I love that. That's the whole point of like me being open about it and doing the work I do.
There's also like less explaining needed, you know, to be out there because it's like if you've already talked about it, it's like, and all she had to say was like Ashley. It was like, okay, got it, understand.
Exactly, like check done, exactly.
Okay. So what are some unique challenges and rewards to polyamory? And I feel like we've already talked about a bunch, but what are some that like, you know, maybe someone might not be able to assume from the outside?
Oh my God, it's all my calendar, girl. Like my Google calendar is insane. Like it really is like you have to, because these are people who also have their own network of partners and like their own lives to manage. Like I have to be on top of scheduling. And then same for me. Like I have to sometimes I'll do a little like spontaneous hookup or date or linking or whatever. But for the most part, I'm like, I'm hella busy. Let's get something on the calendar for like 2 weeks from now, you know? Or plan a date. And being like adaptable and flexible, I think is really important. Again, having like maybe in a monogamous relationship, you have like big conversations, like every couple months or so. Take that, but like every week, maybe, or every, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. And but that's the thing, I wouldn't do this or put myself in this position if I didn't love it so much or if it didn't make me feel happy, you know? So yeah, scheduling my Google Calendar, like with my ex-girlfriend was one of the first people I was like open or like non-monogamous with. So that's another thing. I think there's a difference between being poly and open / like non-monogamous. And I think a lot of people get confused between the two. And that's why like sometimes I meet someone and they say they're poly. And after like either going on a date with them or hanging out with them longer, I'm like, I don't think you're poly. I'm not God and I'm not the poly police. But I'm just like, it's giving more open and non-monogamous. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I think within the community, more people should be okay with being like, hey, I'm actually not poly. But then they're dating, let's just say they're dating someone and the other person realizes they're poly. This happens like all the time. And then they open up their relationship. But then the poly person is feeling like liberated, affirmed, whatever. But then the other person is feeling like is struggling or they're not able to like the more negative comes out than like positive. It's okay to reassess and be like, hey, I love this person, but clearly you're poly and I'm not. And I don't know if this is able to, you know what I mean? Like we're not aligned to move forward or be in this relationship. Yeah. And that's where it gets messy, where it's like people start using excuse to start cheating or like, listen, if you're in a monogamous relationship but you just want to have threesomes, fuck it, go ahead, be open, you know what I mean? But you're not poly. You're not actively, like, I think the key part is like, minus the sexual, it's the romance, the intimacy, and like connection or capacity to love. Yeah. Where it's like, if you can only love one person but you want to fuck a bunch of people, like,
because a lot of monogamous people, they'll be like, oh, okay, like, you know, me and my girl open to like threesomes and stuff, but like there will be rules between them where it's like you can never talk to her outside of when we have the threesome, and it's like, yeah, that's not poly. And some people, you know, will probably say that just for the sake of like, you know, opening up, you know, their options and stuff, and it's like, dude, like it's not worth it if you're not the thing is, it's like, because I've seen this with people, it's like the polyamorous person is not just this like disposable human being that it's like, you know, we just call them when we want. They're always free. Like from what you could tell, you're never free, you know?
I'm like, you want to hit me up on a random night to have sex with you and your girlfriend? One, I mostly want your girl more than you. And second of all, like, I don't have the time or energy. I think that's also back to the original question, one of the unique challenges as someone who's like queer, femme, Asian, so many of my identities or my intersecting identities are hypersexualized. So automatically when people, usually men, hear that I'm poly, they're like, oh my God, you're like, you gotta fuck me and my girl. Like we gotta have this threesome or this orgy. People aren't disposable. I'm not a sex doll. I'm not a sex toy. People aren't sex toys. Even with like, and this could be a whole ass other tangent with like hookup culture and how like as a society we've gone in that direction. As a hedonist, I'm all about people experiencing pleasure. That being said, you still gotta treat a person like a person. They're not a fucking walking pussy or like, you know what I mean? Or dick or whatever. Like you still gotta care about them as a person. Yeah. Like sex just feels so much better when you actually like the other person, you know?
This is another question I had that I was thinking about. Like,
Yeah.
as I was writing these, I didn't tell you about this one before because I was like,
I already forgot half of them anyways. I'm winging it.
no, you're good. Because I was wondering this just, I'm like, so what would you say is one of the main reasons that polyamorous relationships end? Because I feel like the conversation always revolves around like, you know, how many someone has and how they start. But I was just like, hold on, like, what does a polyamorous breakup look like? Like how does that even come about?
Girl, it's just as messy as a regular, as the monogamous kind. Yes, it's messy. It's exhausting. It's, there's something called like de-escalating a relationship. So sometimes like, if they're like, you know what, maybe we're not meant to be in a romantic relationship, but we still have good sex or like care about each other, maybe let's like just hook up, which again I think is a slippery slope and there's a lot of gray area. Or maybe they're like, okay, I still love and care about you though. Can we try to be friends? Or there's just like full out breakups. I think honestly, breakups are like no different than monogamous ones. It could be like maybe someone's like moving out of state, you know what I mean? And they're like, I don't want to be long distance.
Yeah.
Or someone, you're just like no longer like aligned. Like you don't see eye to eye with that person anymore. Sometimes it's cheating. Sometimes like trust is broken. Like there's so many different factors to why poly people break up. And it's just as hurtful and devastating. It's almost like worse because imagine like, let's just say when I'm going through I have 3 partners right now, right? I break up with one of them, but then I'm good with the other 2. I'm both like grieving and feeling heartbreak because of this one breakup, but also still like happy and like fulfilled in these other relationships. It's just so much more like nuance and gray area. Which again, to some people, they're like, that's mad complicated. I don't want to deal with that. You know what I mean? I break up, I gotta eat my chocolates and like be alone and then on to the next one when I go through my glow up phase, whatever, right? This is more like, imagine that, but like on different timelines, all happening at once.
Yeah. Hold on. You just brought something up, the whole glow up phase. So like, this is just me, my silly brain is working right now. Cause I'm thinking about it like, does it happen? I don't want to say that do breakups happen often, but like, I would see that myself as like a benefit to have like, you know, that villain arc every time there's a breakup. And if like, it's like,
girl,
like every time it's like, okay, I'm going hard at the gym and I still got 3 boyfriends and I just lost one, but that's all right. And then you're going hard at the gym, body's getting better. Life is like, I feel like that's a reward. I feel like that's, cause we talked about the challenges, but I feel like that's one of the rewards, at least from the outside looking, that feels like one that's like, it's cool.
I firmly believe I am always glowing up. I'm always peaking. I don't believe that anyone should ever just like peak at one point in their life.
Yeah, of course.
It's fantastic. I love being a woman in a male-dominated field. Like, I love when I've had people tell me, they're like, oh my God, they're like, you're such a player, blah, 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 blah. No, I mean, like, I do well for myself. And also, like, I just I love expansively and, like, see what happens. Like, I think one of the best things about being poly is also it taught me I don't need a person. I think if anything, when I was monogamous, I felt more insecure. Like I was in the relationship. I like had, for example, one of my like college relationships, evil white man. I don't think he'll see this, but whatever.
Gotcha.
He like we had a threesome at one point and he like just, it was so messy and like it didn't feel good. Like we weren't able to have the conversations that I can like easily have now. And just like, I don't know where I was going with the story, but like, I think one of the things it taught me is like, I love myself and I love my alone time and being with myself. These other people also have love and care for them. If they stay, love that. If they go or like something happens, also love that. Cause either way I'm going to be okay. Yeah. You know? Like I'm choosing to enter these. I think, that's the thing with being poly. I'm choosing to enter these relationships because I want to, not because I have to.
Yeah. Because you're not, like you said, you're not looking for like the relationship escalator. It's not like there's no ticking time bomb where it's like I have to be married by this time. I got to have a kid by this time or any of that.
It's so I literally found like one of my mom's been cleaning my home, immigrant mom things, you know? And she's been cleaning a lot. Kudos to her. And she found my like 6th grade, like, I guess I made this little book for like my like family history and then like what I thought my future timeline was going to be.
Yeah.
Bless my little me soul heart. She thought by now I would be married with like 3 kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, baby girl.
Little do you know.
Little do you know. No, I'm nowhere near that and have no desire to be right now. But
yeah.
yeah, that's just the way life be.
So are there any, like, you start a polyamorous relationship, is there any conversations that you have with every polyamorous new relationship, like within like the first month, that like sets everything in stone? And what does that look like?
Girl, I'm an Aries Mercury. So like, I think we talked about this because you also are an Aries Mercury. I forget.
Yeah,
I'll check your chart later.
Yeah.
We'll talk. But we be yapping.
Yeah.
And I'm also very like forward and blunt, which I think helps a lot. It's not everyone's cup of tea and not everyone's style of preferred communication, which I've learned to also filter and, you know, talk gently to people when they need it. But I'm very quick with it. Like, first, even if we match on an app, when was the last time you got tested? What are your likes or dislikes sexually?
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Like, what kind of connection are you looking for? What are your expectations? You know, where are you at? And that's just so I can like, you know, filter. Like, we're grown, we're busy. We're not here to waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
If you're monogamous, I'm not going to be a good fit for you. You know what I mean? And I'm not in the business. There are some poly people who still date monogamous people. And either they're like trying to be Bob the Builder and like, I can fix them or convert them or whatever. I don't know. Or they just want to pursue it because for the sake of pursuing it. But I've gotten to a point where I'm like, we're already not going to, you know what I mean? We're not going to vibe and that's okay.
Yeah.
Or with the STI thing, obviously I'm a sex educator and like part of being involved with so many people is being responsible, right? And like making sure everyone's safe and like cared for, not just emotionally, but also physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
So I think those
risky
are the
is
ones.
that when it comes to like STIs? I wasn't even thinking about that. Like,
That's been one of the stereotypes. It's like, oh my God, like they're fucking everybody and anybody and they're easy and dirty. Like, I think arguably it's just like with sex workers, right? Like there's this assumption that like sex workers inherently like have all these STIs or blah, blah, blah. They're the ones getting tested like every month. It's usually, unfortunately, like straight, cis, monogamous like men or like people in these relationships are assuming like, oh, like we don't need to get tested. We're fine. You don't know what you have.
yeah.
You know?
So how often would you say that people in polyamorous relationships get tested? Like, what's regular for you? For
me, I'm a little extra with it, but also because I work in the fields, like I get tested every 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Sometimes in certain poly dynamics, like we had a rotating system where it's like I get tested in February, another partner gets tested like March or April, you know, another partner gets tested a month after. And then it's just keeping track of like, okay, we have this system going. If someone catches something, then like everyone will know and like get treated to prevent it further spreading. It's just like with any, like I'm a big harm reduction or risk reduction person. Like obviously the activities just like numbers wise, right, might be a little more risky, but that's where you take and implement these strategies to reduce it as much as possible. Yeah. Which I think a lot of, again, monogamous, straight people don't even think about because they're like, oh, okay, this is my person, we're good. People cheat.
Yeah.
People lie.
And that's the worst way to find out.
Literally. I've known more people who got STIs from monogamous relationships than like poly people, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, even the amount of times I've heard, you know, people getting STIs, it's always from someone that you trust, it's from someone that you would have never thought would have given it to you. And then this is just like a little big sister talk. It's always the person, for the most part, that you trust or that you had a gut feeling about, that if you were to ever get it from someone, it would be that person. Just get tested.
Just get tested.
Just get tested
It's
after every
easy.
partner. Doesn't matter. Like even me when I was younger, starting at the age of 16, anytime there was a new partner, I was getting tested. Doesn't matter how much you trust them. Doesn't matter if they got tested right before. Doesn't matter. Just get tested.
It's so easy.
Your insurance likely covers it.
Look out for your own body. Exactly. Your insurance
Like-
likely covers it. There's free clinics. Look on my Instagram page if you want to get some resources. Like, yeah.
And it's always best to catch it early. Like, I don't know. I could talk about this all the time because I just think about the younger, you know, me and stuff. And it's like I was on top of it and I had a lot of friends who weren't, who got in really sticky situations, really gross, sticky situations, you know, blistery situations, you know.
Yes.
You don't want to get there.
No. Like, look out for yourself. Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Like, just had to have that moment.
No, we love
there.
a little PSA moment. Like, go get tested. It doesn't matter. You're poly, monogamous, whatever. Regularly get tested. If you're having, like, get tested after every new partner. If you're not, either way, like, 4 to 6 months is, like, good. It should be part of your annual checkup, honestly. But a lot of doctors don't check.
Yeah. And also get those pap smears.
Yup.
Yo, this is like, I'm just putting everything out there.
No,
All
I
your
love
GYN
this.
checkups, all that stuff, get checked.
Sexual health is part of your regular ass health.
Whatever they offer, for as long as your insurance covers it, why say no? Like,
especially, again,
doesn't matter.
Under this administration.
Grab it while you can. So, okay.
You gotta.
So, for our monogamous listeners, how can people with different relationship styles best foster mutual respect? Because it seems like that's always like, as much as polyamorous relationships stress polyamorous people out, so do monogamous annoying people who don't know how to have these kinds of conversations. So what would you say is like the best advice you can give them when it comes to interacting with a polyamorous person?
Yeah. So advice to interact with a polyamorous person or in their relationship?
No, for a give me a second. For a monogamous person, to best foster respect for a polyamorous person, because I feel like they often don't know how to go about it. And, they don't know how to approach it. Like, what are, big red flags? Like, if there's anything that they shouldn't say, let them know. If there's anything that you feel like is probably one of the most welcoming approaches, what would it be? Because it's a mix of like, both just monogamous people who want to remain monogamous and, just learn more. And there's also the curious monogamous people who are just like, I just want to dip my toe,
I think it's always just lead with curiosity, right? It's just like when I think in society I would like to think we've gotten a little more comfortable around like queer people. Like when someone comes out to you as like gay, you're not immediately some people might, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like some people... I would like to think some people are going to be like, okay, cool. Like, thank you. I respect that, You're not automatically assuming like, oh my God, they're hitting on me. Oh my God, they're only friends with me because they want to fuck me, whatever, right? Probably some people might think that. But it's the same thing with being poly, right? Like me telling you I'm poly doesn't inherently mean I want to fuck you. It doesn't mean I want to, another term that comes up with being poly is like a lot of couples look for a unicorn. So kind of what you were talking about before, like, a single femme who's like basically like their fuck toy or their sex toy, they call them a unicorn because it's so rare to find a woman who wants to fuck a couple but then won't get any like feelings or attachments. You just get a sex toy, you know what I mean? Or hire a sex worker or do something, that don't play with another person's feelings like that. So yeah, just staying like curious, like ask good questions, like it looks so different from anyone. Like I would love that I'm here to talk about my experience, but me being poly, poly people might watch this and be like, I don't know, like that's not my way of being poly, and that's fine. Like I'm not here to judge. Again, like I think ego comes up a lot. Like I get it, and I've told you this, like anytime I make poly content on Instagram, gets the most views, also gets the most amount of like hate and like comments from like incels and stuff, because it brings up, I think, the ego or this idea of like, well, this is just me being controversial. like where incels are like, well, I'm not getting any and she's getting like all of this, or these poly guys are getting all of this like sex and whatever. And it's like, that sounds like your problem, bro.
Like, bro, we're not even in the same state. Yeah. What I gotta do with me?
Or they get mad because they're like, well, she's poly, why doesn't she want to fuck me? Because I got standards. And that's what being poly is. Like, it's helped me develop even higher standards, if anything. Like, I'm already busy as hell. I'm not going to just, like, sleep with anybody or, like, get into a relationship with just anybody.
Yeah.
You have to add to my life. Because, again, I'm already working with, like, a limited capacity. But, yeah, so being curious, asking good questions. I always get, like, the I could never comment, which I always like on a base, like, case by case basis. I know some people mean well and are like just having a reaction or they're not intentionally doing that. But then it also makes me think about like, again, when you're like, if someone comes out as gay, right? And you immediately react like, I could never.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, that's not you. That's okay, So just like being mindful of reactions or stuff like that.
Yeah. Because I think even then it's just more of how not normalized polyamory is, because like the way that you just explained it, when it comes to somebody being gay, like the first thing you say isn't like, I could never. That's just, it's like, oh, okay, like
you're gay.
That's how you live. Cool.
Exactly.
Like we move on. And I think that polyamory is definitely something that it's just like too many stigmas, too many stereotypes, too many. And it's also just like what gets pushed on social media. Obviously, I feel like if you type in polyamory, you're going to get like the oddest, most like, content.
I've seen it. I promise you, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I would like to think, my bestie says this, the poly community needs people like Ashley to show like we can be hot. a bunch of us are really hot and like charming and have like full lives, you know, like we're all not all weirdos, but also we are all kind of weirdos. That's the point. Like there's baddies, bad bitches can have depth. Bad bitches can have nuance.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we are finally at the end of the pod. So is there anything, any last thoughts or anything that you think is like really important for the audience to know, or just anything that you just feel like isn't talked about enough about polyamory, about polyamorous relationships and everything?
I think, I don't know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's like there's so many lessons that can be applied to non-poly people from like poly relationships. I think at its core, in order to have a healthy relationship, whether it's monogamous or poly or whatever, you got to have a good relationship with yourself and your own sense of boundaries and be able to communicate your needs and like what's okay, what's not okay, whatever, right? As a sex educator, like I teach in middle and high schools, right? Like the first thing I always tell kids is like, you need to figure out your own boundaries before involving another person.
Yeah.
Like before you enter the bedroom or have sex for the first time or are under influence or get into a relationship, whatever, right? Like sit down with yourself and really get to know yourself before entering that. And that's just intention, right? So yeah, having a good relationship with yourself, having relationships and friendships and connections outside of your partner is just healthy. Like we want more. We don't want to just pour everything into one person because it's just like anything, one job, one person, one family dynamic, whatever, right? It's going to
have its low points, yeah.
Yeah, it has its low points and it's like you can't just like depend on that. Being poly doesn't mean I have commitment issues. Like, or the people who are poly, it doesn't mean they're just trying to fuck. Again, 10% of it is great sex. I'm not gonna lie. The other percent is really just communicating and having calendar check-ins and stuff like that. I would hope the takeaway from watching this is just like, I'm just here for everyone to I love love. I'm a lover girl, like through and through, you know? And being a lover girl can have so many different ways of being expressed and like different looks. So like, yes, I have my soft femme, like princess phase. And also like Megan Thee Stallion, she's a fucking lover girl, but she's been popping ass, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And doing things for herself before she met that man. So like, trying to think what else. I don't know. This was really fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. Well, I think this was a fruitful conversation. And what I have for everyone is to just stop projecting and stop judging and just ask questions. It's always cool to ask questions.
Always.
I don't know, keep an open mind. Stop being mean to people. I feel like those are some things I'm always putting out there. It's not worth it. Don't be a bad person. That's what I got for you. But yeah, so my usual, live, laugh, love, spread love, and all that good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Give 5 stars if your platform allows for you to do so. I love you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.